Hello, and welcome to Auto Be Careful, the place for car safety, news, and information. I'm Gene, and today we're going to talk about Virginia, which is set to become the first state in the nation that requires speed limiting devices installed on vehicles. Now, speed is a major factor when it comes to traffic fatalities. According to the NHTSA, for the past 2 decades, speed has been a factor in nearly a third of all traffic fatalities. In 2022, 29% of vehicle fatalities were speed related. The faster a vehicle is traveling, the more likely it is that a collision will occur because the driver has less time to react to a situation. Speed also makes collisions more deadly because it exerts more forces on the occupants while also reducing the effectiveness of safety features and equipment. Despite all of this, in 2018, Virginia issued over 500,000 speeding tickets. Let's talk about what these systems are. The NHTSA classifies intelligent speed assistance into four categories. The first is information only. This system displays the current speed limit on the dash for the driver as a helpful reminder. The second is open system. This system adds visual and audio cues to let the driver know when they've exceeded the speed limit. The third is semi-open system. This system provides resistance on the accelerator pedal to make it more difficult to speed. However, the driver can still override this system. The fourth is mandatory speed compliance. This system completely blocks the driver from being able to exceed the speed limit. These systems will use technology that's either built into the car already or technology that's added after the fact. If the technology is already in the car, it's likely to be the same technology that's used for driver assist features. For example, the cameras that are used to detect lane lines in order to keep a car in its lane can also be used to detect speed limit signs and markings. Other systems may utilize pre mapped roads or GPS data to determine a vehicle's location and then cross reference that with a database to determine the current speed limit. If the vehicle doesn't have any of this technology built in, it's going to need to have some additional hardware installed in order to make it work. Currently available aftermarket systems utilize the GPS in order to determine where the vehicle is and then use that information to determine the current speed limit. Here's an example of an open system where the vehicle detects the current speed limit and displays the information on the dash for the driver. As you can see, the vehicle also provides a visual and audio cue when the speed limit is exceeded. In Europe, all new vehicles made after 2024 are required to have this technology implemented. However, there's no such requirement in the United States for this technology to exist in cars. Virginia is set to become the second region in the nation after Washington, D.C., to implement mandatory speed compliance devices installed on vehicles. It's going to apply to speeding offenders at the discretion of a judge. This is similar to drunk driving offenders being required to have ignition interlock devices installed on their vehicles to ensure that they aren't intoxicated prior to starting their vehicles. Like with the ignition interlock device, the offender is required to pay for installation and any monthly fees associated with the device. However, if the offender qualifies for state assistance, the state may cover some or all of the costs. While this may seem like a harsh punishment, it's actually a lot more lenient than the alternative. Prior to this, the main enforcement action available to judges was the suspension of a driver's license. With this new technology, there's a more forgiving approach, which allows the offender to continue to drive their vehicle legally so that they can get to work or school without needing alternative transportation. These systems have other benefits as well. They would discourage unintended speeding violations by encouraging drivers to slow down when a speed limit is lowered, even if the driver doesn't notice the speed limit change. There's also discussion around reduced insurance rates for vehicles that have these systems implemented. Finally, and most importantly, less speeding would lead to fewer collisions, fewer casualties, and safer roads. So that's a look at speed compliance devices and how they're being used in Virginia and Washington, D.C. to make our roads safer while providing more options for speeding offenders. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, and remember to like and subscribe.